Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Blessing again. Have you missed me? Because I missed you too. If you are new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, blah blah blah, and let's get into it. Okay, so today's video is titled everything you need to know about passing your driving test, or everything you need to know about learning to drive, or everything you need to know about driving child. So we're going to be talking about in this video. This video is mostly going to be just my experience in driving and my story, my journey to becoming a legal driver, because it was a long and perilous journey. It was long and it was perilous, but it's okay, I overcame, and that's why I'm making this video right now. Okay, and this video is part of my adulting series. And adulting series is just literally, I come in here and I talk about anything that I face in my journey to becoming an adult. So I have one about uni, finishing uni, life after uni. I have one about starting a 9 to 5, and we have one about driving. You know, by God's grace, we're gonna have one about buying a house. Amen. Yeah, make sure you check this kind of videos out. So let's get into it. So driving. Okay, I passed my test a week and a bit ago. I passed on the 21st of December, and I started learning to drive in September of the same year. So I started learning to drive in September 2017, and I passed in December 2017. Up until I started learning to drive, I was like, I don't want to drive, I don't want to know anything about driving, I'm not interested if the bus works for me, like I'm happy, like driving was not on my horizon, it was not in my periphery vision, you know what I mean? But then when I passed my theory test, I just the spirit came into me, and I was like, I'm gonna be driving, I want to drive. So I started like proper, I was on it. I was like, the only reason I'm learning to drive is because I want to be driving in the near future. Like I wasn't ready to play. So I started learning in September, and I booked my first test for October 26th. If you're wondering how many tests it took me to pass, don't worry, you're gonna find out soon. Let's just leave that for now, okay? So I booked my first test for October 26th, and the reason why I did this is my first tip for learning to drive is that the common way that people learn to drive is they have 1 hour lessons a week, every week. And that sounds like it makes sense, it sounds reasonable, but when you actually think about it, and this is what my instructor told me, like, and he was like, what you don't want to do is do 1 hour lessons a week, every week. And I was like, why? That makes so much sense. And they was like, no, because first of all, by the time you actually take 5-10 minutes to get to where you're gonna like do the practice, and 5-10 minutes to come back, you've already lost like 10-20 minutes of your actual lesson. So you're only actually learning to drive for 40 minutes of the 1 hour you're paying for. That's one. Secondly, if you do it on Monday this week, by the time next Monday comes along, whatever you learn on Monday is going to be rusty. So you're going to have to recap what you learned on Monday in this week's Monday's lesson out of the 40 minutes you only have left. So you end up having to just recap all things, and it's just long. It makes the process longer. And so he was like, first of all, he recommends 2 hour sessions, and secondly, he thinks you should do it more than twice a week. It is a lot of money, one, but it actually works. It actually works. Like a lot of people that I know that have been learning to drive, have been learning to drive for a long time, like over a year, and they're doing 1 hour sessions a week. But if you do it, like, just do it a lot at once. Trust me, it sounds long and it sounds expensive, but it's worth it, because the amount of money you pay in that squashed together time is gonna be a lot less than you would pay over a year, 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week. And as much as possible, try not to take breaks. Honestly, do not take breaks. If you leave it for a while and you're like, okay, like, eventually I'll get back to it, that's what prolongs it, that's what makes it harder to learn. Like if you can do it as quickly as possible, do it as quickly as possible. So my number one thing that I would say is that when you're like learning to drive, don't do 1 hour, don't do just 1 hour a week, or don't do just one a week. If you're gonna do 1 hour a week, do 1 hour a week, but do it twice a week. That way you're getting regular practice. The quicker you can do it all at once, the better. That's just personally what worked for me, and that's what I think generally would work. Second thing, which of course I'm sure you know, I'm sure you figured out, I'm sure you've deduced by now, but driving is it's expensive. Okay, for where I live, it was £26 an hour, but what you have to factor in is that to do your test, you pay the government £62, right? That's one. But then you also have to pay your instructor to use his car. My instructor charged £80. I did, let me just tell you now, okay, I did my test 3 times. So I passed on the 3rd time. So I had to pay £140 the first time, I had to pay £140 the second time, and I had to pay £140 the 3rd time. Plus all the 2 hours times 2 hour lessons I was doing a week. It's a lot of money. That's why, so you know how I said in the beginning that you should try and do it like all together if you can. For my advice to you would be to save money, like save 1,000, 1,200, save it all at once, and then just start paying off your lessons. What you don't want to do is pay £26, pay £26, pay £26, pay £26. You don't have money in your account anymore, so you stop for 3 weeks. Then you come back again, pay £26. If you want to do it, get it done. And the best way to get it done is to save your money until you have enough to pay for the majority of the thing, and just get it done. Save up so you have the bulk of money at once, and just know that you can get it all done at once, because it is expensive, so you have to prepare for it in advance. If you say I'm just going to be doing it as I go, you end up doing 1, 2, 3 sessions, wait till you have money again, 1, 2, 3 sessions, and it's not the best way to learn. So yeah, the third thing, this will also save you money, is that when you are at the point where you're almost test ready, so where you can drive comfortably, you can be driving up and down the roads, if you have a car, drive it. Practice in your car. It's gonna cost you a lot of money to be practicing with your instructor, and if you're at the point where you don't really need your instructor to teach you anything anymore, you just need somewhere to drive in your own car. And the way you can drive in your car is you can get something called a learner's insurance, which is what I got on my car, and you can have a learner's insurance for a week, you can have a learner's insurance for 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. You can have a learner's insurance for however long you want, right? And you buy the learner's insurance and you're insured to drive in your car. You just have to have someone who's been driving for 3 years or more next to you, and you can drive as much or wherever you go, and your car is insured. If you don't have a car, something else you can do is you can get learner's insurance on someone else's car. So your mom's car, your dad's car, boyfriend's car, anyone's car, you can get learner's insurance on that, and you're insured to drive in that car as long as there's someone next to you. So on my 3rd time driving, and even my 2nd time, I had a car. So rather than just be paying your instructor to sit in his car and just drive when you don't need him to teach you anymore, spend that. It was for 4 weeks, it was £162, but 5 hours with my instructor is £125, right? So 5 times the amount of lessons I do, I'm spending maths. Now let's just say £100, okay? Let's just say it's £100. Yeah, so £100 a week is how much I would spend. I would pay my instructor to drive in his car, to practice in his car. £162 for 4 weeks to practice in my own car, and you can drive as much as you want, as long as you want. You can go wherever you want. It just makes more sense to practice in learner's insurance, and honestly, it's just practice. It's practice. Okay, the 4th thing I would say, moving into like the testing part of the driving, is that honestly a lot of it is just luck. My first test, I had a woman and she failed me because the major she gave me was that I signaled too late. So she said that oh, I signaled, but I signaled late. There was someone behind me, and she said that the woman looked confused when I signaled like last minute. Okay, fair enough, it's whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that sucks, it's fine. So then I booked for the next test, and I got the exact same woman. I said, wow. I looked at her face, she didn't even recognize me. Then my instructor was like, oh, like you had her last time. She looked at me, she said, oh, did I? And that was it. She didn't speak to me in the car, and I was just like, this miserable woman, why? Yeah. Yeah, so I had her again, but I was like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, okay, it's fine. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be okay. I drove, and this time, guys, when I'm not even just saying it. This time, I could not have driven better if I tried. Like, there was honestly, I couldn't think of anything that I could have done better. I failed again. And this time, Leslie's reason for me failing was that I almost went at a roundabout. I almost went. Not that I went. I almost went. Okay, here's what happened, right? So we're waiting at the roundabout. The cars are going, cars are going, cars are going, cars are going. Then it gets clear there's no one coming. So I take my foot off the brake to put it on the accelerator. I look, oh, someone else is coming. I put my foot back on the brake before I even touch the accelerator, and we go. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, like I almost went. I got that was fine. But we got there and she was like, yeah, you almost went. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I know that you didn't actually touch the accelerator and you put your foot back on the brake, but the fact that you almost wanted to, you wanted to, and it made me want to help you, and I shouldn't want to help you. And I was like, really? Like, I was annoyed. So I changed my test center because I was like, there is no way I'm gonna even have the slightest risk of meeting this woman again. I changed my test center to a different place. Long story short, this one, I went there, the woman was so nice. Like, I had a woman again, but she was like smiling at me. She kept talking to me about her Christmas. She was talking to me about her job. She was talking to me about everything. Like, at one point I even thought, did she film me 5 minutes? Like, in my head I was like, she must have filmed me from earlier and she's just like talking to me. She's not, like, there's no point like assessing me anymore because she's already filmed me. That's what I thought in my head, because the woman, like, she was just chatting, she was bantering, and like there even came a point where like we're driving and then the truck in front of me stopped, and I thought the truck was stopping because of traffic, so I stopped behind the truck, but I didn't see that the car had put on its hazard lights. And she was like to me, oh honey, I think it's stopping here, it's put hazard lights on. I was like, oh sorry, I didn't realise. And so like I drive around and we go around the man, and she says to the man, you're not very helpful, are you? And me and her were laughing, we're bantering, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. And then we got back, she was like, you passed. I was like, you're my favorite I actually said this to her, I was like, you're my favorite examiner. And she said to me, how many have you had? And I was like, well, just 2, but I had one twice and she was very nice. But I say all that to say that a lot of it is luck, right? Because my instructor was telling me about this guy that he took to take the test, and the guy couldn't do a right turn. Like, doing a right turn was really hard for him, so he couldn't do it the proper way he's supposed to do it, and it was just like shambles. But he still went for the test, and lo and behold, on the test his right turn was shambles. But the examiner passed him and then started complaining about, why did my instructor bring someone who couldn't do a right turn? But sir, why did you pass him? Like, it really depends on who you get, how they're feeling that day, their mindset. So really and truly, in as much as, you know, if you're a bad driver, you're not gonna pass, but a lot of the time it is luck. It's luck, it's who you get. And like the test center I went to for the first 2 tests is rumored to be the strictest test center in the area. I wish I'd known that before I went, but yeah, it's a lot of it is luck. So do your best, practice, be as good as you possibly can, but don't be discouraged if you don't pass, because it might just genuinely have been, you just might have been unlucky with who you got, basically. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes someone who isn't even like amazing passes because of who they get or how the examiner is feeling that day, if they're feeling like more lenient, and someone who's really good fails. And it's not necessarily because you can't drive, it's just because like it's luck. So like the first time that I went for the test and I failed, I was gutted. I was so upset. I was gutted because in my head I wanted to pass first time. I'd done so many lessons, and I was just like, you know, like it just seemed right, you know. I failed and I was really upset. Like I was really teary-eyed in my instructor's car. But the second time I went and I failed, I was just like, it is what it is. And this time, like, because I didn't feel like there was anything I could have done better, I was annoyed. I wasn't even upset. I was just like, that woman, that if I get her again, I'm gonna call DBSA and we're gonna trash it out. We're gonna sit here, we're gonna fight. I wasn't gonna fight. But yeah, so the second time I didn't care, because you know what I mean. Oh, another tip, something else that can be very helpful in terms of driving, if you fail your test, or even if before you do your test, once you book your test, download an app called Testy. It's called Testy. You can download it onto your phone, and what the app does is it brings up all the times for like 4 different test centers near the test center you've booked. Do you know what I mean? So it will have all the dates available and all the times available for all the test centers near you. And what that does is, if you've booked a time but you want a sooner time or you want a later time, the app will notify you when a new time becomes available. So with me, I wanted to do my test before the 4th of December, but I couldn't find a date until January, so I booked the January date and I got the app, and the app would let me know, oh, there's a new test available 21st of November, blah 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 blah. Like, do you know what I mean? So the app will notify you when someone cancels, because it can be difficult to find like the time, that the date that you want. So when you get the app, it notifies you when someone cancels, but you have to be quick. You have to be quick. People are on it. Like, you might get the notification, 2 minutes later try and log in and it's gone. Even a minute later it's gone. People are sitting there waiting, so you have to be on job. Anyway, yeah, so download the Testy app. That's really helpful. In terms of instructors, I think for me, what I would say is try and be patient. I am quite sensitive. I don't like being yelled at. I don't like being shouted at. Anyway, I don't like people yelling at me. I don't like people shouting at me. I don't like people being short with me. I don't like people taking their aggression out on me. But sometimes, if you've got a good instructor in terms of teaching you what to do, it might be best to just put up with their not perfect behavior if you can handle it. Because what I said, like when I started driving, I said to myself, yeah, I don't want to switch instructors. I don't want to go from one instructor to one instructor to one instructor. At the same time, I was like, I'm not gonna have someone yell at me. I want someone nice. But at the end of the day, I just want to pass my test. And if the person is good at teaching me how to drive and how to pass, just patience. I had to pay the second time I had him, I was almost crying because I was really, like, he really upset me, and I was thinking, shall I change him? But I was just like, no, I'm gonna stick it out, because at the end of the day, sometimes you have to be with people who you don't really always get on with, and rather than you don't always have the opportunity to get up and move and leave and go somewhere else. Sometimes you just have to find a way to deal with people. At some point, you can stick up for yourself, but I personally wanted to finish it with who I started it with. So when I first failed the first time and the second time, my parents were like, oh, like, use a different instructor, use a different instructor. They wanted me to use a different instructor. And I was like, I have to be fair. It wasn't my instructor's teaching that made me fail. Why I failed has nothing to do with my instructor. He taught me everything there is to know about driving, and even when we're like practicing, he's like, I have nothing else to teach you, honestly. Like, it's just a matter of you passing this test. Like, there's nothing left to teach. Like, I couldn't fault his teaching my driving, do you know what I mean? So when they were like, oh, get someone else, like, I didn't want to, but it got to the point I was like, you know what, fine, I'll talk to someone else and see what's going on. So I called someone else, but thank God they weren't available anyway. So I was like, no, I'm going to stick with my instructor, and we went the third time and we passed. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you could leave this instructor because he shouts, and then get a new instructor and he yells. Like, unless the person is not good at the fundamental of teaching driving, I personally think it'd be better to stick at it. The more you're meeting someone else, you're starting again with someone else, you're meeting someone else, I just feel like it might be harder to pass with that. I'm trying to think what else helped. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that will help. Like, definitely utilize that. I, for some reason, always left these videos until like the day of my exam or the day before, which probably was not for the best. So the last one, I didn't watch any of them. I was like, I'm not doing that. But you can usually find out the test route. So I did mine in, let's say I did it in Crawford. I don't know if Crawford is a place, but just type in Crawford driving test route onto YouTube, and there will be at least 1 or 2 of those that will come up. You know, they have test route, they have people who tell you, tell me questions. They have people who just give you advice, people who show you what counts as a fault. Honestly, that's just watch a lot of YouTube videos, but don't watch it on the day or before your exam. And the last thing I would say is that just relax, just take it calmly. I just mean, like, it's not the end of the world, right? The first time I went, I was holding it like it was the end of the world. It was a big deal for me. I needed to pass, and so when I failed, it really hurt my feelings. But what you need to do is just see it as, it's one of those things. Sometimes you fail, sometimes you pass. If you fail, you can do it again. Like, it's a lot of money, it sucks, but if you fail, you can do it again. And I just had to, I think when you're more relaxed and when you've got the mentality of, I'm just doing this, I might fail, I might pass, hopefully I pass, you know, everybody wants to pass, but if I don't pass, it's not the end of the world. And then it just got to the point where you're just driving like you're driving with your instructor. Try and get that in your mind of, when you think I'm being tested, then you're more likely to be anxious and you're more likely to make mistakes. Just kind of approach it with a more calm demeanor of, you know, it is what it is, and hopefully I pass. I feel so drained. This 24 minutes, this is the longest video I've ever shot. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share this video, like it, and all that good stuff there, and check out my other adulting videos. Let me know any questions you might have down below. Like I said before, this is only my experience, this is my opinion. You might disagree, you're more than welcome to disagree. I'm not gonna hold a gun to your head, and you can't hold a gun to mine. So, you know, it's just my opinion and it's my experience. Yours might be different, and that's amazing. If you pass first time, like, good on ya. Honestly, if you passed 7th time, good on you as well. Like I said, not passing the first time is not a measure of how good a driver you are. Very good drivers don't pass the first time, and not very good drivers can pass the first time. It's not a measure of it. It's honestly, you know, you could be really amazing, that's why you passed the first time, well done. But if you don't pass the first time, it's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, we're driving, and glory be to God, I was able to drive before the new year, which is what I wanted in the first place. And it took me, what, 3-4 months to learn? Yeah, the end of December I passed, and we thank God. One thing though, when you pass, like, you make so many mistakes that you feel like, should they have let me pass? Because the first time, like, after I passed was the first time I've ever driven on my own. Like, when I was driving on my own car, I always had someone next to me. When I was driving with my instructor, there was always someone next to me. And then I got on the road on my own, and the first time I drove on my own, it was going really well. For the first like 25 minutes, I was just like, oh yeah, like, I got this, I could drive. And then, like, one thing happened that threw me off, and I was just like, I'm not ready. Then another thing happened, then another thing happened. I was just like, oh my god. Like, it was a mess. But definitely, when you pass, even if you're scared, even if you feel like you're making an utter foolery of yourself, just keep driving till it gets normal, until you get perfect. Anyway, I shall see you all in my next video. Bye.